I saw that Public Enemy is coming out with a new CD that they're bypassing the whole industry and going directly onto the internet. And hopefully this will be something good we'll need to see. But probably one of the main reasons they're bypassing the industry is what gets promoted in the industry, what gets supported and promoted. In hip-hop, for example, misogyny, crude demeaning and degrading of women, openly promoting the idea of getting yours on the back or through the blood of other people. Get rich or die trying, I gotta get mine no matter what I gotta do. And often all wrapped up with religious obscurantism and crosses and references to nonsense in a poisonous package. And what do we hear? What's the excuse when people are confronted with this? Oh, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just telling it the way it really is down here. Keeping it real, my ass. You are helping to keep it going the way it is. And then there's Beyonce Knowles, or as I think she should be called, Beyonce Don't Knowles Shit. You know, after Osama bin Laden was killed, she picked up this song from this old country clown, Lee Greenwood, God Bless the USA. I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free. And she put out her version of this song on the heels of the assassination of Osama bin Laden. Come on. What we see here is these bourgeois strata seeking their interests in a way tied in with the horrors of this system, and fuck the masses of people suffering terrible oppression under this system. Instead of this, all this garbage, we need more fight the power. Instead of the promotion of getting in on the oppression, we need the promotion of fighting to put an end to it. Think about what's going on in the popular culture, particularly in hip-hop. The promotion of pimping. The brutal treatment of women. Tricked and forced into this and maintained it through the most disgusting violence. Even turning it into adjectives, pimpalicious and all the rest. Think about it, the effect this has on the youth coming up and on the culture and the people broadly. Because a big part of all this is what we could call guy culture. It's a culture of degrading domination of women and of wanton violence, a kind of pornography of violence with an American chauvinist and male chauvinist thrust to it. Think about some of these video games where the point is you go out and you kill America's enemies. That's the point of the video game as identified by the army and the ruling class as a whole. Or the video games where a lot of youth are trained and conditioned to think while they're playing the game. They think they're just going like using their thumbs and fingers. They're using their brains though. Their brains are being influenced. You have video games not only go out and kill America's enemies, you have video games where the high point is you get to hunt down and kill a woman who's portrayed as a whore. How does this condition young people, boys in particular, to think about women and the relations between genders? Think about one of the main institutions and sites of male bonding in this society, along with pornography, the strip club. That's where you go to hang out with and bond with other young guys or other older guys, participating in and being titillated by the degradation of women forced to do this. What kind of thinking and conditioning is going on here in terms of how people who are being socialized in this way are being influenced to think about women and whether they're human beings and about the relations and what sex should be about? Look, let's face it. Sex, if it's done right, among people who really care about each other and on the basis of equality and what they want, Let's face it, it's one of the greatest pleasures human beings can have, okay? But not when it's done by one part degrading the other part. And this is what people are being socialized to think of as the norm and as the object, the goal. And then we have the phrase, man up. Think about this. What is the logic of this phrase? What is the meaning of man up? It means you stand up and be strong and don't be a coward and don't back down from your responsibilities or from danger. And these are presented as attributes, qualities of men. Now, by logic, who does not have these qualities? Who are these qualities not of? Obviously, women. Think if you went out there and said, look, quit being so weak, woman up. It wouldn't make any sense in the dominant culture. It could make a lot of sense in reality, but it wouldn't make any sense in the dominant culture. Once again, people are being conditioned that to stand up for principle, to stand up for right, to not be afraid or shrink in the face of danger or sacrifice or taking responsibility are qualities of men that men should exercise. And it becomes so perverse that not only do you hear women being influenced to use this phrase, but you see it being promoted in the culture that if a woman wants to have these qualities, then somehow she has to try to man up. I think of the movie G.I. Jane with Demi Moore. This is a movie portraying the great advance for the cause of liberation of women as a woman who can make it in the tough confines and environs of the U.S. military. Become part of the machinery of oppressing and slaughtering human beings all over the world. And the storyline of this movie is Demi Moore plays this woman who has to fight through every attempt of her drill instructor in the basic training and the rest to drive her out of the military. And one after another she passes these tests and she finds it hard and she needs to get support and advice, but she perseveres. And finally it comes down to the crowning scene, so to speak, where once again the drill instructor is being extra hard on her, partly it seems to drive her out, but maybe to make her actually rise up to the challenge. And in this scene, he's just driving her and driving her and driving her, test after test. And he keeps saying to her, you want to quit? You want to quit? You want to quit? And finally she turns and says, no, fuck you, suck my dick. Which, of course, she does not have. But what is the point? The point is that in order to be really tough and worthy, you have to man up even if you're a woman. Or what about the phrase that's out there so much too? Being made into somebody's bitch. That's the lowliest thing you could be. A woman, and in particular a woman who's portrayed as being somewhat hysterical and frenzied, like a dog in heat. Being made into somebody's bitch, that's the lowest thing. And you see it even translated into all kinds of ways. For example, you go out on the basketball court. Somebody takes a shot. It doesn't go right in. It bounces on the rim. It's rolling around. And they'll say, get in there, bitch. Now think about it. Why are they saying, get in there, bitch? Because the basketball is acting like a recalcitrant woman. It's not doing what it's supposed to do according to the dictates of this man. It's supposed to get in the basket. And it's rolling around instead and it might fall out. Get in there, bitch. How is that conditioning people to think even without their being fully conscious of it? Imagine if some white guy went out on the court, started playing basketball, took a shot and was rolling around the rim. He said, get in there, nigger. But this is the same thing. And once again, you can get away with this in this culture now. It's acceptable. It's conditioning people. And along with this, the women under this system are conditioned, even girls from an early age, to internalize and to go along with so much of this, or to accept that this is the way things are and that nothing better can be expected from men, so try to own it, market yourself, and get the most you can out of this while remaining in what is in fact an oppressed and degraded position. Now all this is not hardwired in people. It's not hardwired in guys any more than in the young women. It's ways that guys are conditioned by the dominant institutions and media and culture to think and act, reflecting the basic oppressive relations of this system and serving the interests of its ruling class. So developing a radical revolt against this revolting culture in many different forms and on many different levels is a very important part of and can make a very important contribution to fighting the power and transforming the people for revolution. Even if much of this culture that becomes part of this radical revolt is not all the way revolutionary and doesn't completely express the communist point of view, it can still make a big contribution by raising disgust at the putrid culture that dominates, by inspiring and provoking people to think differently and think critically, to question what they would otherwise accept, to ponder why the world is the way it is, to dream about and argue about the possibility of a radically different world, to come alive with righteous outrage and the joy of calling out and rebelling against what should not be tolerated. And this contribution will be all the greater if people who do have a communist understanding bring forward a vibrant culture that expresses that and inspires people toward that, while relating in a good way to the many and diverse expressions of a culture of radical revolt against this truly revolting culture.